listening to the pool of speakers here, I come to realize that it stays and soothes the event absolutely fine. For Dharma, as I've understood, in the written language of Dharma in the Himalayas, especially in the Tibetan and the Bhutanese context, is Che, and we always thought that was Buddhism. And now I realize that Dhamma, which I always thought was Pali, is actually Buddhism, which comes or makes me to conclude that as much as the organizers here try to bring the two faiths and philosophies together, the terminology is absolutely befitting. Thank you for making it. Well, it's a privilege for me to be sharing space with guardians, scholars, and practitioners of the truth. And when I say truth, whether it's Sat, Chit, or Anand, I do not want to get there because my language in that area is absolutely poor. So I'll stick with the word truth. And nor do I have a presentation that's philosophical or rich in vocabulary, but I'm just going to express the way that I think truth should flow in my own capacity of my little, cute little knowledge, let's put it that way. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the India Foundation and the Nalanda University for organizing this timely conference in India, the country we refer to as the land of Arhats. It's even more relevant to host it here in Rajgir, near Rajgir, where the Buddha taught on the transcendental wisdom which has shown the path to countless beings and continue to do so. Nalanda, which is nearby, was the root and center of excellence, upholding the truth. It was the place where truth was taught, deliberated, and contemplated by thousands of scholars, unparalleled in their understanding of the stainless truth. So you'll hear me repeating truth, truth, and truth. So excuse me for not using other languages because I'm really poor at it, as I said. The stainless truth here, I mean, is a tradition that was expounded in Nalanda and became the roots or the fundamental of what we or I believe to be the root of the Buddhist philosophy. And the tradition actually, the Nalanda tradition, which has stood the test of time, continues to do so around the globe. Bhutan, coming to my place, it's a tiny, as much as I said that my vocabulary is small, I come from a small country and I'm sure that our very good neighbor India probably is very aware of that. Although a small kingdom, stand proudly sharing the platform with the great nations of the world because we believe in the Nalanda tradition. Fortunately, we have had the fortune of being governed or ruled by our beloved kings who actually took the Nalanda tradition at heart to govern the country. It was one of the best tools that our rulers have used and hopefully will continue to use. Well, what was the result then? It's a small kingdom between our giant neighbors, but the result, as we see on the international platform, is a small country, a small nation that's peaceful, happy, harmonious, and of all, intact environment. I think that is what we need to be advising. Thank you. Well, truth doesn't necessarily have to be enshrined in a holy script, nor in a place of worship. Truth must prevail among ourselves and as individuals, in a society, and as a nation. The truth of suffering at at all levels cannot be ignored. I think we should sink in this point because as simple as it might be, we try to sort of overrate our understanding sometimes and see that we seem to have taken care of all these things where things are solidifying within our own self. The truth of suffering at all levels cannot be ignored. That's what I want to make it here. If we are to find a solution to the suffering, we must give it due recognition. And again here, I want to stress that suffering, as we might think of it as being negative or something bad, has to be recognized, given its due recognition, to be able to deal with it. That alone, again, is not sufficient. In fact, it can make one more depressed, because if you know the disease and don't know what to do with or how to deal with or find a way to cure it, then you'd be pondering upon that, knowing or not knowing where to go, which becomes a disease that most of our younger generations are suffering from. We must try to find the cause of suffering, and that's where most of us lack the tool. So it's very important that we do find the cause of the suffering, but we don't stop there, for we need to find a way of eliminating the cause of the suffering itself. This we can do by using the Nalanda tool again. The Nalanda tool, of which I happen to be a student of, although I don't think I'm a good student at that point, but nonetheless, I claim to be one. And using the Nalanda tool, or the tradition of Nalanda, we need to free ourselves from the bondage of suffering. And that tool enough should be okay, actually. Well, the very first sermon that Lord Buddha gave after his enlightenment was simple, valid, and will always be valid. And that is to recognize the suffering, eliminate its cause, practice the path, realize or actualize the goal. This powerful statement was, is, and will be valid at all times to come, because this is the truth. A leader can use this as a tool to govern a country, create harmony among different families, countries, and races. And this statement alone can bring permanent peace, happiness, and harmony. While the ocean of wisdom that I see in this hall today need no further explanation on this. Coming together of the two ancient faiths, Hinduism and Buddhism, in its very birthplace, to deliberate on Sat-Chit-Ananda, and I'm going to say Nirvana, that's very important, I guess, gives me ample hope to look into a bright future where Hinduism and Buddhism come even more closer for the benefit of a larger audience. This is very simple, plain, and among the very well-versed philosophical discourses that we have, I hope this will serve as a nice soup. Thank you.